What's going on? Welcome to episode 17 of the Mark and Graham podcast. Follow us on Instagram at @markandgraham_podcast. Today we have a special edition of the show. Mark came up with an idea of doing an all-time NBA draft, so I'll let Mark explain a little bit about that. We also have our friend, NBA Insider Guru, host of the NBA Stories podcast, Nick Nasseby. Nick, how you doing, brother?
Man, you can't call me a guru. I'm that level. I'm not like Bill Simmons over here. Yeah, I'm doing good though. You know, quarantine is still locking us down in Miami, but it's starting to get back to normal a little bit. Looking forward to sports coming back. It looks like that's probably in the works, at least for the NBA. See what's going on there. And on NBA Stories last night, I actually had Mark on the episode. We talked about our top 10s. We went through them, had a good conversation about all of them, and I think it's a good lead into what we're talking about here today. So I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to kicking you guys teams to kicking the butts of both your teams, and I won't swear again. How about that? Okay.
Okay. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna start off with our clown of the day, and then I'll let Mark really take control and explain to you guys what we're doing today. So Nick, who is your clown of the day?
Okay, so for me, I actually bounced between a few different guys. I was initially going to go with Spencer Dinwiddie for that hilarious, trying to crowdfund his next contract. But the one for me, I think, just kind of took the cake here is John Jones. If for anybody who doesn't know John Jones, he's the light heavyweight champion of the world right now. He was my favorite fighter when I was probably 17, 18 years old because he was so humble. He's such like a nice guy. And all of a sudden, he's gotten like 3 DUIs. He's got a cocaine arrest. He's got issues with steroids. And on top of all of that, now he's just turned into this like jerk to everybody he talks to. When he's calling people out, he's making fun of people. Another light heavyweight guy had his house broken into, and they held him. Like something happened with this guy at his house, and John Jones was like making fun of him for like not standing up for his family and all that kind of stuff. Like he's turned into this real bad person. And it's really taken a dark turn, and I don't know where it's going to go, but I think that's what happens when you get punched in the head a whole lot. So I don't know, but I think he's a super big clown. I wouldn't say it to his face because he's large and he's a professional fighter, but I think right here behind a computer screen, he's a clown, and I'll say it again.
There we go. So, yeah, Mark, who do you have for your clown?
Well, the big news from this weekend was, of course, the match part 2, Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady going up against Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods. If you guys watched it, I definitely took a look at some of it because nothing else was on. It's actually the most viewed cable golf match of all time, which is kind of crazy. Shows you how much the world is in need of sports right now. But Tom Brady was my clown. Brady ripped his pants, first of all, leaning down to pick up the ball on the green, which is just like how Tom Brady-esque is that. He played terribly, which wasn't a shock. I mean, they're amateur golfers. Him and Manning both looked pretty brutal. But Tom Brady really struggling out there. He looked like one of us on the course, shanking everything. But I do have to bounce back and give him a little bit of credit because he holed out from I think it was 170 yards or something like that. So I do give him credit there. He redeemed himself, but Twitter was just awesome, ripping Brady apart. And it's always good to see somebody like Tom Brady actually getting some sort of criticism in the world because everything he does on the football field is pretty goddamn perfect.
Yeah, that's definitely it definitely was nice to see that. So my clown leading into our obviously all-time NBA draft, it's got to be Michael Jordan. Kendrick Perkins on Get Up said it perfectly this morning. He really thought he could lie on his own documentary. Like, the guy's one of the most looked at, most researched men on the planet, and he lied about something that everyone knew was a lie. That being that he had zero part in keeping Isaiah Simmons. That's the New York Giants. Isaiah Thomas off the Dream Team. And for some reason I sort of wanted to believe Michael Jordan, but the audio was released this morning that he called and said, if Isaiah Thomas is on the Dream Team, I'm not playing. And, when I brought this up to Nick earlier, he was laughing about it because he was like, yeah, he lied about a whole lot of other things too. And it's just funny because it makes me realize I feel like Michael Jordan used this documentary to sway the argument that he's better than LeBron James, which leads me into the next topic. Mark, if you want to take control here.
Yeah, so after last night's episode of the NBA Stories podcast that I did with Nick, where we came up with our top 10 lists of all-time NBA players, it kind of inspired an idea for this episode of the Mark and Graham podcast, where we're gonna rip an all-time NBA draft between the three of us. We have rosters that we're gonna build with featuring a starting lineup, 2 guards, 2 forwards, a center, then a 6th man, a head coach, and my favorite part, your all-time jersey, who's going to be sort of your logo. Once we finish this live draft that we're doing on today's episode, we're going to have graphics up all over social media. You guys can vote on whose team you like the best. We like to get you guys interactive, as always, on the Mark and Graham podcast. So I'm really excited to get this going. We determined the draft order ahead of time using a randomizer online. And that determined that the order will go as follows. Graham will be leading things off in the number 1 spot. I will have the 2nd pick. And then Nick will be going back-to-back in the snake order at 3 and 4. So we're ready to kick this off whenever you guys are ready to go.
All right. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to pick LeBron James number 1. I could sit here and I could argue with Nick all day about this, about why I'm picking this guy over number 1, over who Mark should probably take at number 2. LeBron James is the best player to ever walk the face of the earth. He's the best athlete to ever walk the face of the earth. I don't care who you are. Don't tell me otherwise. So, yeah, I'm going to pick LeBron James number 1. He is my first forward off my board. So I don't really think there's any need to discuss unless Nick has something wise he wants to add to this pick.
The only thing I'm going to say is, you know how you know Tom Brady fell off is because he thinks that moving to Tampa is a smart idea.
Well, LeBron James is my number 1 pick, and I stand behind that till the day I die.
My pick, I'm going to have to take Michael Jordan. You left him on the board for me, Graham. Couldn't be more excited about the fact that he's there, because I know if Nick had the number 1 pick, he would not have been. After The Last Dance, after everything I know about the guy, the Jordan logo, I really got the face of basketball on my team. And, it's going to be interesting having him at the guard position, because now I can go ahead and probably take a point guard as my other guard and really start to build this offense. Michael Jordan's an easy pick there. I got 6'6", the greatest winner of all time.
All right, Nick, who do you have at 3 and 4?
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and I'm pretty excited because imagine this dynamic real quick, right? 3 and 4, back-to-back, Magic and Shaq. Oh, imagine that pick and roll.
I was going to take Shaq.
I know you would.
I was going to take Shaq.
I don't care. You went for you missed him. Listen, I'm always willing to entertain trade opportunities, but what's in it for me? That's the thing. So 3 Magic Johnson, greatest point guard of all time. 4 Shaquille O'Neal, who in the grand scheme of things, I would say is probably top 3 center of all time, but in that particular dynamic would be absolutely incredible.
But here's your thing. Here's your thing. Are you going to have Magic Johnson as your 6th man? Or are you going to have him as a guard? Because you just said as a 3, but then you said he was the greatest point guard of all time. So
I said at the 3rd pick.
Oh, I wasn't thinking.
Who in their right mind puts Magic at a 3? Come on, man.
He played every position on the court. He was a positionless player.
That's a good point.
He's a positionless player.
Magic, Shaq. That's my go-to.
All right. So with my picks, another great Laker.
Whoa.
Skipping my pick there, buddy.
Oh, that's right. Right. It's snake order. I'm sorry. I'm getting eager.
All right, you're good. I do want to say Nick brought it up. Trades are definitely in play here. So don't hesitate to send a little text anyone's way privately. And if you have a trade to announce, just let me know. So with the 5th overall pick, I'm looking a couple directions here. But, I got to go Kareem. I got to go with the number one scorer in NBA history to pair with Michael Jordan. You could argue, I mean, for the LeBron haters out there, you could argue this is the greatest player in NBA, the greatest two players in NBA history on my team right now. I'm going to have Kareem at the 5 spot as my center, the creator of the hook shot, the most dominating shot in NBA history, one of the greatest champions besides Michael Jordan that the game has ever seen. I think I got straight winners on my team right now. I'm going Kareem.
Taking off what you said about winning, it was pretty easy to decide who I want to pick. I was going to take Shaq, but I'm going to go forward. I'm going to take Mr. Fundamental, Tim Duncan, and I'm going to take probably one of the most lethal scorers in NBA history, Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, his soul. I love the way Tim Duncan orchestrates an offense as being a power forward. I think Tim Duncan can literally play from any part of the court. His winning, his leadership, his ability to win, and I think overall he is in my mind he's one of the best power forwards of all time. How do you feel about that?
You just stole my pick right there. We talked Duncan a lot in the podcast last night, the NBA stories, and that's somebody I think is arguably the most underappreciated player in NBA history. So I love the pick there, Graham. All right. I'm going to have to consider some guys here, considering you stole my pick there. Got a couple in mind. Only point guard off the board so far is Magic, correct? No. The more I look at it, I think I'm going to have to go 6th man and just take him to have him on my team. And that is going to be, I don't know if you're going to allow me to switch my lineup at all to maybe put Kareem at power forward, but for now I'm going to go 6th man, Wilt Chamberlain.
Good pick. Great pick. Awesome pick. Love it. Great pick. Dominance. 60s. The dude. Okay. So you took Wilt. I'm taking Larry Bird, obviously. So right now I have Magic, Bird, and Shaq. So, that's my next pick. And then after Bird, let's see. So I have 1, 3, 5. Do I want a solid 4 or do I want to?
You showed that pick.
I like that pick a lot. I was thinking it there, but I had to take Wilt. I think that's more of my Celtic.
So when you didn't take Larry Bird, I was waiting for you to say it. Okay, so I'm looking at this list. I'm going to go Phil Jackson.
Wow.
Ooh.
Strong pick there. Very strong. The first coach is off the board, and it's Phil Jackson. Little last.
And who else did you pick, Nick?
Larry Bird.
All right. Mark, who we getting?
Well, I got Jordan, Kareem, and Wilt Chamberlain off the bench right now. Still no forwards for me. Your Phil Jackson pick there just inspired me, and I think I'm gonna have to leave Logan with the rest of the pack, and I'm gonna go with my man Greg Popovich right there.
Yeah.
I know that's Logan's boy.
I hate you.
Must pick right there, Popovich.
Well, actually, I really don't hate you because I have a really good coach that I'm gonna say in like 3 seconds. I'm going to pick Pat Riley as my coach. I think Pat Riley, you could put on the Mount Rushmore head coaches. You could put him on the Mount Rushmore of NBA executives.
Sure.
You know, the man has everywhere Pat Riley has coached, he has won championships. Everywhere Pat Riley has owned, he has won championships. Like, Pat Riley is one of the best guys to have on your team in the NBA executive office, on your bench. So yeah, that was an easy pick. So definitely had to take Pat Riley off the board. I think he's the third best out of all three. And I need a center. So I'm gonna go probably one of the best hybrid players in terms of offensive defense in the 80s and 90s, Hakeem Olajuwon. I love the dream shake. You know, it's one of my favorite moves to watch. I really feel like he put, footwork on the map for big men. Not saying big men before him didn't have footwork, but I feel like he was the first to really, take those, he did more than just the stands under the basket with his hand up and lay it in or dunk it. So those are my two back-to-back picks, Pat Riley and Hakeem Olajuwon. Mark, who we got?
So I'm back up here. I filled out my sixth man and my coach with my last two. So now I really got to address the forward position. I'm between two guys, an old school and a new school. But I have a feeling Nick might consider him soon. So I'm going to go take my boy Moses Malone. I got to go.
That was my next pick, bro.
I talk about him all the time. He's the most underrated player of his era. Dominance, 3 MVPs, which is unheard of. He's got the NBA Finals. He's a Sixer, which is always close to my heart, as well as a Rocket. Moses Malone, easy pick there. He's going to be my power forward.
Man alive. You got me. Okay. All right. So, for my other guard spot, I'm going to take Jerry West.
All right. I like that.
That was pretty. No, let's look at 4. I'll look at 4. So my 5's an obvious 5. So for big guys, they have to have played power forward, right? It can't just be like a big dude. Yeah, I think that's only fair. Because I was thinking someone, but he's like a straight center. All right. Okay, so I took Jerry West. So 1's Magic, Jerry. 3 is Larry. 5 is Shaq. So I need a 4. And at that 4, all right, I'm between Karl Malone and Dirk.
Ooh.
Or I could Charles Barkley's in there too. No, because I don't.
I'm surprised here, Nick. I know Dirk's your boy. I know you want him here. A little international love.
So that means you want Karl Malone.
Oh no,
Wow.
I would never take my guy Karl. Too much of a dirt bag for me.
I agree. I mean, I think that's a good. I just can't. And it's also because Dirk's just the greatest international player of all time. I'm going Dirk Nowitzki for my 4th spot. So goes.
It's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, there's really, besides Hakeem, you can't make any case for anybody who wasn't born here, other than Dirk. So I'm gonna put him at my 4.
All right. So that brings me back up. I'm gonna close out my forward position. I've considered him with my last pick, but I'm glad I took Moses because I knew with Nick coming up, there was a better chance he was going Moses than my guy Kevin Durant. That's who I'm going to put as my second forward position. It's more of a long-term move because I think by the end of his career, he's going to be looked at favorably in the all-time forward conversation. I wish I had Tim Duncan as one of my forwards. Once again, Logan stole him from me. But I'll take Kevin Durant and Moses Malone as my forwards. So that's going to leave Graham up
You took my sixth man. You took my sixth man. Oh, you are real. Oh, God. All right. So at my point guard position, I really don't know why I'm so confident in this pick. I really don't know why I'm very confident in this, but I'm going to take John Stockton. I for some reason, I love guys that can pass the ball. And looking at my team, guys like Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Hakeem, they need a guy who could pass the ball because they're all scorers. Besides, Tim Duncan's a scorer, but he doesn't need the ball in his hands at all time. I feel like I need a guard in there who doesn't need to score all the time. And I love John Stockton. He brought a team to the finals that, in my mind, if they were playing anyone but the Bulls, I think they would have won those finals. But Michael Jordan doesn't like losing. That leads me to my sixth man position, and now I'm kind of left scratching my head because I had Kevin Durant typed in the box ready to go, and then Mark said Kevin Durant, so I'm sitting over here like, all right, you know what? I don't know why I'm thinking about this. Just based off track record and just, I got to go with the claw. I got to go Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard is absolutely filthy. Like, I know I should have taken Giannis. No, I don't care. I would take Kawhi Leonard's game over Giannis any day of the week. He's proven day in and day out that, like, he lets his game speak for himself. Like, he lets his game speak for himself. He's one of the most outspoken guys in the NBA, and I don't know. I love Kawhi Leonard. I love his attitude. And, yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about my picks because I both got interesting looks from the both of you. So how do you feel about Stockton and Kawhi?
Well,
Yeah. Whatever floats your boat, man.
the one thing I want to say about Kawhi Leonard, I love him. I absolutely love him. And something I want to ask you guys is a conversation people have been having a lot since The Last Dance is what player in today's NBA reminds you most of Jordan and resembles him most? And I've heard a lot of Kawhi Leonard. And I want to know what you guys think of that. I mean, the other one I've heard is Jimmy Butler. A lot of people say has a little bit in there, but I think that might be more of the teammates hating him. But I want to hear what you guys think about that Kawhi Leonard-Jordan comparison.
Jimmy Butler is more of the work ethic. The dude works his ass off. He really does. He goes crazy in the off season to make sure he gets better every single year. Kawhi Leonard, I agree with that, and the reason why is very simply he understands the three-level aspect of scoring, why it's so important to be able to score from all three levels. He is the best cross-key dribbler at the forward position in the entire league. The thing that really reminds me the most of Michael Jordan with Kawhi is that when he is within the 3-point line and he is dribbling across the key or he's driving, he knows exactly where his spot is. That was the thing about Jordan is that he knows exactly where he's going to pull up and he's pulling up from there. You don't know where he's going to pull up, but he does. A lot of guys will pull up where they feel like it's safe to do so, whereas Jordan pulls up where he knows he's going to already and he gets that separation. He doesn't need a whole lot of space to get his shots off, right? And I think the two-way aspect to Kawhi Leonard's game is also the thing that really reminds people of Jordan, where he is the best on both sides of the ball. He shut down Giannis Antetokounmpo. The man's got 6 inches on him, and it wasn't even really close. He kind of destroyed him all series. So that's why I agree with that Kawhi take.
Yeah, Nick, I definitely want to add something in there. I think that if you look at Michael Jordan's acrobatic shots, and to me that's what makes Michael Jordan Michael Jordan. You can make a layup, you can make a jump shot, but when you look at Michael Jordan's ability to hold the ball and finish and concentrate in contact, I think that's the main comparison you have to look at. And like Nick said, Kawhi Leonard can, he understands the importance of three-level scoring. And I love guys that can shoot the mid-range. That's why I'm a huge Melo fan sometimes. Like, I love Melo because he can shoot a mid-range shot, like, gorgeous. Kobe Bryant can shoot a mid-range fadeaway. I feel like shooting a mid-range brings your game up so much more. And Kawhi Leonard's ability to finish in contact. And I feel like he was very outspoken too. And I mentioned that earlier. I feel like Michael Jordan was very outspoken. Like, guys speak for him almost. And Kawhi Leonard and Michael Jordan was the same way. You let the game speak for themselves. So yeah, I definitely think comparing Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan is extremely fair.
All right, well, that's probably who he's going to be guarding when the Graham team faces off against my team, because of course I got MJ. Don't forget about that. Oof. So that leaves me up, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And I got one position left to fill. I'm considering a bunch of guys here. I need to fill a guard position. I have Jordan as my other guard, so I need somebody to bring the ball up the court. Otherwise, I would have gone a different direction here. But I think I'm going to have to go back to my Philly love here and pick the answer himself. I know Graham does a little impression of my boy, but give me Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson.
Have you guys been actually asleep this entire time? Is this a dream? Because I don't understand how you didn't get this guy yet. I'm taking Steph Curry.
I'm not a fan.
He's my sixth man.
Bro,
you don't have to be a fan. He's off the bench, bro. I got Steph off the bench, dog.
Bro, Steph can't play defense. Like, I'm sorry, Steph cannot play and I guess you could say Kobe doesn't play defense, but Kobe does play defense. I don't know.
Kobe's
something about Steph Curry, like, I love him, but like he's not good defensively. And I don't know why, but the last 2 minutes of the 2016 finals really changed my opinion of Steph Curry. I'm being totally honest with you. Like, those last 2 minutes seemed like forever. And I'm like, oh, Steph Curry's going to make a three and the game's going to be over. And he didn't make a single. She got shut down by Kevin Love. It was just, I don't know why. And I still think Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. Don't get me wrong. But that last, 3.5 minutes, 2 minutes, really changed my opinion on Steph Curry. Really, I don't know why, it just did. And you could agree or you don't have to agree. You look like you're shaking your head. And I want to get your take on this, but
I got nothing against the take. I understand it, when it comes to defense. In today's NBA, you don't need defense as much as you did in the 90s. That's the truth. Perimeter defense isn't as much of a demand as it was back then, where people still need it. You still have guys like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, et cetera, all those guys who can really lock you down. But if you look at the guys who are the scrappy guards who play defense, it's not really a lot of the big name guys. It was Russell, I guess, back in his prime or back earlier when he was younger, but it's more like a Pat Bev or a Marcus Smart. These guys they're more specialists than they are all around defensive guys. So these guys on offense, I love Steph, man. He's changed the game. He's a 3-point shooter, the likes of which we have never seen. And the greatest thing is we'll see it again now because of Steph.
Mm-hmm.
He is an era of NBA players. He has ushered in this new wave of players.
What I would ask is then, do you think long term that's going to hurt his legacy? Because I think he's changed the game so much in that direction that you're going to see, like, people talk about unbeatable records. Like, Wilt Chamberlain's records are going to be unbreakable in basketball because the game will never be like that. Steph Curry, there's going to be a better shooter than Steph Curry. I believe that. Look at what Melo Ball, like guys like that are coming up shooting like that. They built their games off of what Steph Curry changed basketball with. And I think in the long-term landscape of the NBA history, Steph Curry will be looked at as somebody who changed the game of basketball, but there might be players long-term that do it better than he did.
I think with Steph, the thing to pay attention with him is that we always look at the pioneers of anything, right? I mean, we look at guys like Dirk Nowitzki, where he is now retired, but he brought in this new wave of big men who shoot threes. And now it's commonplace, but we still see Dirk as the first to do it. For someone pulling up from a foot in front of the half court line, where we now see Damian does it, Trae Young's now going to start doing it more. Luka can do it pretty easily. And now we have a whole bunch of other guys like LaMelo and others like him who are going to come into the NBA and start doing that as well. We're always going to look back. Steph Curry was the first to do it. Steph Curry was so good at what he did that he took a rigid structure of the NBA at the time, which we all looked at as he's a tweener. He's not a point guard or a shooting guard. What is he? He's nothing, right? And he got so good at what he did that instead of us putting him into that bucket, he actually changed the entire landscape of the NBA around him. So that's what changed. That's where he is that groundbreaking talent. It's transcendent talent. So I think that's why, even though there's going to be others that will do what he does in the future, and by the way, maybe even not, to get realistic, like the 3-point line is going to get more utilization, but the way that he played in 2016 is completely different than I think we've ever seen, obviously, and probably won't be repeated for a while. But at the end of the day, he's my sixth man, and I don't know how he lasted. That's fine. I'm cool with it. My last pick is a jersey pick, and I'm between four jerseys right now. So I want you guys all to hear these. The Grizzlies, Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys.
Ooh.
The Raptors in 99, the Rockets in 95 with Robert Horry, or the 85 Bulls with the cursive, or the Sonics 04.
Honestly, I like Sonics 98.
The Sonics 98, was that the red, where they had the little red in it?
No, it was just like...
Oh, it was the more retro version of the Sonics.
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah. No, that's like the Sonics in like 90.
There was a little bit of red on it, yeah.
7 or 8. I'm going Raptors. I'm going 99 Raptors. I know you wanted it. That's why I took it. 99 2000 Raptors with VC and T-Mac, where, their first jerseys, bro. They were so nice. I don't know how they got it right the first time and then changed it, but whatever, But the purple ones, specifically the purple ones, or the black ones, the alternate black ones.
Yeah, you definitely stole my pick there. That's exactly where I was going. And, at least it's like well respected by all of us that those are probably the greatest NBA jerseys of all time. But, all right, so I'm going to have to change some things up here. Once again, I agree with you. I'm between like 3 or 4 jerseys. I'll read them out to you guys. I love the Skyline 85 to 93 Nuggets jerseys are beautiful to me.
I like those.
I'm a fan of the Vice Heat, the current day Vice Heat.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
But I don't think I'm going to go that direction. I'll leave that for Graham if he wants it. But the Vancouver Grizzlies is also equally tempting. And, I also like the Purple Mountain Jazz uniforms.
Yes.
One of those, but like I also have to consider the players that played in them. And I hate Karl Malone so much at this point that I just can't justify going that direction. I think, I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm gonna have to go with those. The other one is the Washington Bullets. I like the Washington Bullets uniforms. The red, white, and blue, a little America love there. And, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. Washington Bullets.
Jack Magic.
That's another good one. The Wes Unseld Washington Bullets uniforms, 74 to 87. That's where I'm going.
All right. Well, Mark said mine. I love the Miami Vice Heat jerseys. I thought those were clean. I still think they're the most clean jersey. I was gonna consider the 96 Suns and the 95 Magic. I like those a lot too, but definitely gonna go Miami Vice Heat jersey. So I think that concludes our draft.
Yeah. Let's just go. We'll start with Graham, then me, then Nick. Everybody want to just recap how their draft went and give us the pick?
I kind of want to get an opinion on my team too. So I got John Stockton at the 1, Kobe at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Duncan at the 4, Olajuwon at the 5, Kawhi coming off the bench with Pat Riley as my head coach.
And you got the Vice jerseys.
And I have the Vice jerseys.
All right, I like that team a lot. I respect it there. my squad, I got John Iverson to answer at number 1 spot and Jordan at the 2. So those are my guards. It's going to be – imagine those two playing together. Like, that is what you call a fight over the ball. Kevin Durant as my 3 that can play off ball. Great shooter. Moses Malone down low in the paint as my 4, sort of. And then we're going to have Kareem at the center position and Wilt Chamberlain as my 6th man. Coaching, we got Greg Popovich, and jersey is going to be the Washington Bullets.
I took the Raptors jersey, right?
Yep.
Okay, Raptors 99. Okay, so point guard Magic Johnson, shooting guard Jerry West, or Steph. I don't know. Let them do a little rotation there. 3, Larry Bird. 4, Dirk Nowitzki, and 5, Shaquille O'Neal. We're coached by Phil Jackson, and we're rocking those Raptors 99 jerseys. That's game over, you guys.
I like that.
Serious? You're trying to compete with that? How do I get the 3rd pick and don't get LeBron or Jordan and still get a way better team than both of you?
I like your team a lot. I'm not going to lie. You definitely have the best jersey and the best coach. I would definitely say that. But yeah, that concludes our Mark and Graham all NBA draft. And this is something I think we could consider doing for a lot of sports and a lot of different avenues we could go with this. You know, we could do a current day draft. That would be interesting as well. It's something we could consider in the future, having guys like Ja Morant, maybe get off the board, Zion, players that wouldn't be considered all times yet, but would definitely go in a current NBA draft. So that concludes it. We're going to post all of our teams and graphics with the jerseys on our Instagram at @markandgraham_podcast. And you guys will be able to vote in the polls to see whose team you like the best. And honestly, I'm curious to see what the fans say, because I like all of our teams, but I want to know like what they really think, and that's what will determine the winner of all of these.
They're going to like mine the best. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah, I like your team. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, Nick, you say your team one more time?
It goes Magic Johnson, Jerry West, or Steph. Steph come play the 2. Larry Bird, Dirk Nowitzki, and Shaquille O'Neal. Coached by Phil Jackson.
My team's better.
Yours is better with Kawhi?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I like my team a lot, I'm not going to lie. But again, I'm going to obviously be biased. So, Mark, any final thoughts with this draft?
No, I feel like it went very well. And like I said, let's let the fans determine the winner. We'll trash talk like we always do, but whatever that poll says, that's we're going to have to, in our next podcast, give credit to whoever the winner was. And maybe we'll even post a little honorary Instagram in honor of whoever wins this draft.
All right, there we go. So we're going to close it out with our Mark, Graham, and obviously Nick of the day. So, Mark, who is your Mark of the day?
There were a couple nominees here, but after hearing that Mike Tyson is considering getting back in the ring, Iron Mike Tyson, you have to give him some credit and name him my Mark of the day, because this is a guy who is the greatest fighter, the greatest boxer in the history of the world. And to see him, I mean, look at the shape this guy is in. If you haven't looked up an image, just Google it and you will be shocked. The guy is 53 years old and is planning on fighting Evander Holyfield for, I believe it was $20 million. Getting paid, getting in the ring. I mean, this guy's a movie star. He's in The Hangover. He's got his own Tiger. Just an all-around stud Mike Tyson is. And the reality is, I know both of you are going to be watching that fight. If it goes down, he will make a killing off of that fight. And it'll be cool just to watch him get back in the scene, get back in the ring. I got to give Mike Tyson some credit. I respect the fact that at age 53, he's still getting after it.
Damn. Honestly, Mike Tyson could be 75 years old, and I still wouldn't take a punch from him. I don't care. It wouldn't happen. Like, Nick, how much would you have to pay someone to let you get rocked by Mike Tyson?
Dude, I don't want to think about it, because it's like you can pay me as much as you want, but if I'm dead, it doesn't matter. You know, like you gonna pay for the medical expenses from them readjusting my face to normal? Like, I don't know. He's a bad man. The video of him where the I'm back video where he's rocking the Clippers shirt, that scared the living daylights out of me watching how hard this man's punching at 53. Oh my gosh. Like he could easily knock another fighter out. No doubt the way he's hitting that bag. So it'd be a good fight.
All right, so my gram of the day is going to be Adam Silver. I really just respect how Adam Silver's handling all this stuff. I think Adam Silver, in terms of where he ranks in commissioners in the four major sports, I think Adam Silver is the best one, and I think he's the epitome of a good commissioner. Roger Goodell sucks. Rob Manfred sucks. And I think Adam Silver's amazing. And Mark, as a baseball guy, you could attest to how bad Rob Manfred's been. And, overall, I just think Adam Silver, he's been constantly keeping fans updated, and hopefully sports return in Disney where that's where they're thinking. So, Nick, I'll wrap it up with you. Who is your, person of the week?
I think after watching his interviews on The Last Dance, just listening to Steve Kerr and the way that he's conducted himself throughout the course of his entire career, going through what he went through with his dad passing away, on those circumstances on which his dad passed away. Yeah, it was really bad. And it was young. He was young, he was still in school. And going through his time with Jordan, standing up to Michael Jordan was cool as hell to see that he stood up to Michael Jordan. No one else was willing to do it, but he's the smallest guy on the court, and he was willing to do it. And then I was talking to Mark about this yesterday. Then he goes on to be a GM. People don't know this part about him, but he was the GM of the Run and Gun Suns team. Did you know that? Yeah, he was the general manager of that team.
Wait, which was Nash,
Marion, Amari. He was the general manager of that team.
Wow.
And he was in that front office until he got the job. First, he was an announcer. He was announcing for like 2K and different and TNT and stuff. And then he gets the role for Golden State. I mean, the guy's consistently just been successful on every level and been proving people wrong his entire career. So just that added aspect of just listening to him talk, the humility he talks with, by the way, in these interviews is it's astounding. He's always like negging himself. He's always saying like funny things about himself. And he clearly doesn't take himself too seriously, which is great. He allows his players their platforms to say what they want. He has his own opinions that he makes, all of those different things. And I just respect the heck out of Steve Kerr. Everything about him. There's just I don't see how someone could dislike Steve Kerr. I can't see it personally.
Do you feel like guys that play with, and Mark, this is for you too. Do you think guys that play with, guys like Kobe, guys like MJ, guys, that are really hard on their teammates? And I didn't say LeBron because, LeBron's like, I'm not sure if he's hard on his teammates. I haven't really heard much, but okay, say he was. Do you feel like those guys are able to become coaches way easier than other players who are trying to coach when they're older? Do you think they have a slight edge playing with guys like Kobe and MJ?
If you're too good at basketball, you won't be a good coach, because then you're always like looking at other guys like, why can't you do this? I could do it. Why can't you do it? Right? That's why when you watch Jordan as the owner of the Bobcats, like I don't understand how he stayed sane, because these guys are so bad and it was just taken away from what he was able to do. Larry Bird was the coach of the Pacers in the late 90s, and you could see it with him also. It's just like, how are these guys not capable of doing what I do? So that's why when you see successful coaches from former players, it's usually players who were good, but they weren't amazing, right? So you see the likes of Steve Kerr, you see the likes of like a Mike Dunleavy, those types of players where they were okay. Jerry Sloan's a great example. Jerry Sloan was, rest in peace to Coach. He was a great player for the Bulls, great defensive player, but he wasn't like the guy. And so he goes on, he becomes a good coach because he can understand the learning curve that some of these guys need to thrive, So I think with that, it's less about who you played with and more about how fast your transition into success was. So if you're good right away, you can't understand it when someone's not good right away. They don't have the mindset to be able to downgrade their own mentality to be like, okay, this guy learned slower than I did. How do I teach him at a different rate? They don't know. They don't have the wiring for it because they've always been like that. It's always been like that for them, so they can't understand it. But if you did struggle as a player, if you're like Steve Kerr and you were a journeyman for 4 different teams or whatever before you get to the Bulls, then you completely understand it, because that was your story too. So I think those guys are usually the best when it comes to that. Obviously, they don't all pan out. Look at Derek Fisher, or Jason Kidd, but eventually you see a lot of those guys are the ones that are successful.
I also think there's something to be said about, like you just mentioned, like I feel like a lot of head coaches come from that point guard position, and also as like a 6th man, because you see the court differently. When you're a point, it's the same way a lot of managers in baseball are all catchers, because you manage the entire game from the get-go. As a point guard, you're the facilitator. You run the offense. You really see the court differently than, say, a back to the center's center, or a back to the basket center who might see the court a little bit differently. If you're coming off the bench like Steve Kerr was for a lot of his career, you are watching games unfold while you're on the bench in a completely different view than, say, Michael Jordan, who is in the heat of every moment. I think there's something to be said about that. It's very different to be a star player versus a great head coach.
110%. I just, and you mentioned like in the NFL, backup quarterbacks make for the best analysts and for the best head coaches. And, guys like Chase Daniel. I think Chase Daniel is going to be a sick head coach one day. I remember, like, I don't know. I just think he will. And that's just, I remember when he was talking about what it was like being like a journeyman backup quarterback. He was like, you like see the field differently. And I didn't mean, this was just something that I thought about. So, Nick, real quick, do you want to mention to the viewers about anything you got going on your NBA Stories podcast coming up? Any topics you're going to talk about before we wrap things up?
A lot of times my ideas kind of just like pop into my head 4 or 5 days in advance. If it's something that requires research, I'll kind of plan it out. But I've been yesterday, and just kind of going back to my take of the week, we were talking about Steve Kerr after the podcast yesterday, and Mark said it would be a good topic. I'm thinking about doing that. I don't know if it's going to be next week, so I want to do some more digging on it. I don't know if there's enough time, but that's definitely someone who I want to touch on. I want to be able to go into his entire career's life and why he was so successful, the person that he was. So that's a possibility. That's definitely coming up. I just don't know if it's going to be the very next episode, but that's someone I want to touch on. I want to figure out a way to talk about Robert Horry that's not boring as heck, because he won 7 championships and no one else besides the Celtics, that team in the Celtics has won more than him. And he's been on these teams, and he's been a contributor on these teams. He hasn't been focal point, but he's definitely, obviously, Big Shot Bob is it's for a reason. He hits a lot of really clutch shots. So I think that's, if I could figure out a way to talk about him in an entertaining light, I think that I want to talk about him as well. But those are just a couple of things I'm bouncing off. So yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, if you have nothing else to say, I think that's a good time to wrap things up. We'll be back next week for episode 18, and we are getting that much closer to our episode 20 special, which we will talk to you guys about on a future episode. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Tune in next week, and we're going to continue to have Nick on the podcast. Go check him out. NBA Stories, one of the best podcasts in the game, and we'll continue to support each other's work throughout the coming weeks. So continue to quarantine, continue to do your thing, and hopefully we'll have sports back in the near future. We'll see you guys.